This is the Lacets de Montvernier, 18 hairpins built up a striking cliff face partway down the Maurienne valley. And to be honest with you, when you come and see it, you can clearly see just why it's earned its name of the Shoelaces. As this road is so twisty and tight with the little hairpins, it genuinely makes Alpe d'Huez look like a straight road. And here's the stat that really gets me. As the crow flies from the base to the summit, we're looking at just 700 meters. But with all them little tight twists and turns, you end up covering over 3 kilometers. This is like a super condensed version of your classic alpine hairpin climb. With the 18 hairpins contained in such a small space of time, you feel like you are constantly turning, with most of the straights only being just over 100 meters in length. And the best part for someone with an ADHD brain like myself is you're never going to get bored. You're constantly just about approaching the next corner. For context, of course you've all heard of the 21 bends of Alpe d'Huez, but that's spread over a 14-kilometer climb. Whereas in contrast, the Lacets de Montvernier behind me has 18 hairpins, but in just 3.7 kilometers, and a lot of that is just a straight road at the top. So the majority of these come within a 2-kilometer span. And it's not just an impressive looking road, it was actually quite a feat of engineering to build as well. The first company that tried to build it actually gave up after just 3 bends, with another company having to take over and complete the remaining 15. And now, whilst it's not the most difficult sounding climb in the world at such a short distance, the Strava times up here are pretty spicy. The current KOM is held by famous retired cyclist Phil Guyman on his YouTube channel, where he set a time of under 10 minutes. I think it's around 9 minutes and 58 seconds, with loads of the rest of the top 10 being rounded out by times set during the Tour de l'Avenir in 2018, including no other than Mr. Tadej Pogačar himself. So it's safe to say I probably won't be taking the KOM today, but I'm going to go out there and smash it up a climb and see just how fast of a time I can do. And right, that is enough chat for myself. Let's jump on the bike, turn the camera on and get rolling. What a beautiful morning it is in the valley today. Oh, this is going to be a tough one. And I'm still half asleep. It's only about 8 AM now. And off we go. Right, we're approaching the first bend.
So far you've heard me talk about 18 hairpins. This first one's not strictly a hairpin, but most people include it, so I'm counting it in the 18. And then this is where the proper hairpin section of the climb begins. As you can see, the surface is pretty rough, it's a dead narrow road, and these corners are coming fast. We're only a couple of minutes into the effort and we're already at bend 2.
I can see why when the Tour came up here, they banned spectators. It's just too narrow to be safe.
The observant amongst you may have spied my watts are a bit all over the place on this one. It's just so hard when you're constantly slowing down and kicking out of every bend to keep the pacing consistent, and I was finding it really difficult to settle down into a rhythm with these bends ticking by so quickly.
I just can't believe how quick these hairpins come around. Feels like you're turning, then you just about get up to speed, and then you're turning again. Oh, the descent's certainly going to be interesting.
But kicking hard out the bends is the name of the game on this climb. Every time I've got to put a big dig in and get back up to speed. And just like that, with the stunning views down the valley, we're already a third of the way into the hairpins.
Wow, look at them views.
But I couldn't let the views distract me. I had to get cracking back on with this effort and tick off the hairpins even quicker. 7 down, 11 to go.
This would be a really good place to torture test GPS accuracy.
And now we're hitting the part of the climb where the corners are really coming thick and fast.
There goes Phil's time. Wow.
So I wasn't even onto the top straight and the KOM had already gone, but round in the final corner. And now you've seen 18 out of 18 just pop up on the screen. You may be thinking, oh, well, we're done. But there's actually still around a kilometre more climbing to go, all the way to where the segment finishes in the little village of Montvernier. And this is where we open out onto a beautiful meadow with some stunning views around, finally popping out into the early morning sun. And I've got to keep the effort going. Whilst doing this effort with pretty much no warm-up was a bit stupid, I am finally starting to warm up and I'm starting to get some half decent power out, but that means it's really starting to hurt as well. However, I know it's not long left, maybe a minute or two at most, as we pass the town sign. I've got one more corner to round and one final straight right to where the segment finishes. I've just got to dig in and nail the fastest time I possibly can. One thing to watch, if you're doing an effort yourself, you've got to go to the right at this junction, only maybe 20 metres further until a line's painted on the road, and that's where the segment finishes. And whilst that might have not been my absolute max effort, that was still pretty hard, and I'm well overdue a nice recovery on the descent.
Well, respectable time. Nothing special though. Right, yeah, unfortunately I didn't take the KOM. Nowhere close, but we made it to the top of the Lacet. Just make sure if you're doing it, you have to go slightly past the junction before the KOM finishes. So yeah, don't get caught out by that one. But if you're feeling really good today and you had a bit more time than me, you can actually keep going up the colder chaussee that takes you out part way down the Madeleine. And that's a really stunning one. You end up on some like little sketchy tracks below cliffs and stuff. Strongly recommend that, and I would have done it if I had a bit more time. But I've got to get off up the Telegraph to where I'm staying to watch the Tour tomorrow. So yeah, unfortunately no time for me. But yeah, what an epic, epic climb that is. And I really recommend that's on your bucket list of climbs you get out to. From doing a bit of an effort up here, one thing that's really struck me was just how hard it was to get into a rhythm up this climb. Normally, you know, you find a long straight road and you start tapping out consistent wattage. But as you probably saw from the footage, my power was constantly yo-yoing with all the hairpin bends. You know, it's really hard to keep the pace through them corners. You know, you've got to really kick out of each and every one. So it's a really irregular climb for that matter. And I just did the maths and worked out the 18 bends with the sort of 13 minutes or so it took me to get up here. That's around one bend every 45 seconds. So no wonder it felt like I was constantly going around bends. And actually, when Phil Guyman set the KOM, he was doing a bend every 33 seconds, which is pretty bonkers if you ask me. Now, to not crash on this proper sketchy descent, as the road started to get really busy with other cyclists now. I have to say though, with all the corners being on such a stiff, lightweight climbing bike with wheels that accelerate just so fast, was absolutely awesome. But yeah, the Quick Pro, I genuinely can't believe how incredible this bike is to ride. Thank you so much to Pandapodium for supporting the channel with this Quick Pro. It feels incredible to ride.
All in, I completed the climb in a time of 13 minutes and 24 seconds. With an average power of 325 watts. And that was good enough for 830th out of 51,000 riders, but still a long way off that KOM. Now, if you've watched any of my hill climb races, you should know that I can do way more watts than that when fresh. So if you'd like to see me reattempt this climb fresh, let me know in the comments below, because I'm curious just how close I could get without the fatigue of the Etape only a few days before.
So if you fancy riding the Lacets yourself, it's actually really easy to get to. Located halfway between La Chambre and Saint-Jean de Maurienne, it's right on the main train line and accessible by motorways and even main roads. And in my opinion, it's one of the best sort of starter climbs in the Alps. It's not too long, it's not too steep, and it's the perfect way to get a proper alpine climb hairpin experience without having to settle in for, an hour plus long climb like you would have to with something like Alpe d'Huez. If you're enjoying the content from my Alps trip so far, make sure you get yourself subscribed down below because there's plenty more to come, including me trying to hold Pauline Ferrand-Prévot's Tour de France winning pace up the Madeleine. That's one you really don't want to miss. And I will see you all in the next one.